right now, for the people that are watching, my team cannot lock a loan unless they have all steps, unless they have all documents. And Alan is faced with that. So in this market right now with this situation, when you pitch them and then you request the steps, you can't lock because you don't got steps, but you pitch them a price and then that price changes, right? And I can only imagine the frustration, because when you know that and you're connecting with that prospect and you know you have to explain what had happened, there's that doubt, right? There's that defeat. That's when you're going in, right? So explain how that's been to, with you and what you're experiencing right now.
Yeah, so I mean, that's actually exactly what I was feeling too, because setting up the roadblocks for myself. I don't know if it was you, it might have been, but I was always told if it's something where you're going into the conversation not confident or not believing in what you're about to pitch, how are they supposed to feel it, So I feel sometimes let's just say yesterday there was a quote 2.75 and now today it's 2.85. Oh great, well now they're going to be well, that's higher than yesterday, I don't want that. And so I'm going in thinking I'm bringing bad news.
Yeah,
they're going to be screw you, I'll find another guy. And so kind of trying to fight that, because I know if I go in with that attitude, hey, so sorry to tell you, rates are up, they're going to be oh, you know what, screw it, I don't want to do it anymore, right?
Yep.
And so just
wait. So right there, I think you hit on a point, because a lot of the LOs and a lot of people, our competitors, or even the people that are watching right now, when that happens, that's how they approach it. They approach it with a sense of reciprocity, right? Almost hey, I'm sorry, it should change, but because you send me your documents, I'll do this, right? Because you feel like you owe them. And it's not their fault, and it's not the LO's fault either, right? And what it comes down to, and I'm gonna hook you up, right? So there's two ways to go about this. Number one is, when that happens, you first have to, or let me back up. So anytime any bad news happens to where you have to call your prospect and explain some bad shit happened, the best way to do it first is to plant a seed that is very soft, right? So for example, if the rates increase, what I personally did as a LO, we get rate sheets every morning. And when the market worsens, it even says it, it's worsening. And then you'll see the red ink versus green. So what I did was I screenshotted kind of the emails that I send the team of hey, the market change, reservations are canceled, right? I control the perception. So what you do is you take your snip tool and you snip just the red, right? You don't want the other verbiage to confuse them, because it says Isla, Ola, or whatever, right? And then all these disclaimers, you snip all that out. You control their perception. But also the email has the rate sheet attached to it, so you remove that. But here's the thing, is that whenever you have bad news or something to overcome, you have to immediately plant the seed to soften the blow. Get it? Because when you break the bad news to them, you can always revert back and reference the seed that you planted, right? So hey, Alan, I understand, but if you remember, the email I sent to you this morning was actually to explain to you that the market shifted. Get it? Now I took away your anger from me, and it's the market. But how you leverage it is you say, hey, we didn't expect this to happen. And after meeting with my secondary department, we expect more increases to come. So my goal is to protect you. And the only thing I can tell you right now is that you need to lock in your rate, because if the rate increases, what you're looking at right now would be a huge cost. So I got an exception. Right. And so this is after you figure out what you can give them. So there's an exception already built in. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. But when you present it to them, you say, hey, based on the market adjustment today, what I can give you is this. And now you're pitching rate sheet. So now you're saying 2.85, that's going to cost you 1.375 points. But I was able to get an exception because you got your documents on time. And I was able to get you this at par, or whatever the PE is. Now, here's the thing though, is that you still discount that by a quarter just to save room. Make sense? Because they never knew the spread that you had. And the reason why you reserve that quarter is you need that for good news later. And the reason why you need that for good news later is because imagine if you call them right before docs and say, hey, I just want to let you know I was able to get you an extra $600 in LC. because you knew you had that. And so when they hear that, they're very grateful. And at that point, that's when you ask for a referral.